Stay on top of stories about stocks that may impact the market or your portfolio today in Stocks Making News.
Looks like Lumber Liquidators is having their share of problems. Tracy Reinick, Dave Bartosiak are here with me to spell them all out and see where this company is headed, especially with their stock price. Tracy, as I understand it, the company's trying to deal with a big drop in sales for the third straight quarter because they've been trying to work through this 60 Minutes report that some of their flooring laminates contained excessive levels of cancer-causing formaldehyde. Now, the original 60 Minutes report came out last March.
That's right.
2015.
Yep, almost a year.
But they recently updated the report.
Well, they did. Well, they've shown it a couple of times. So, yeah, it's been floating out there, and 60 Minutes is certainly, kind of milking it for all it's worth. But Lumber Liquidators, they haven't actually been selling this flooring that was the subject of the report since last May. Now,
you actually listened to this quarter's conference call that the company held. So what did you learn from that?
Well, obviously they're under stress. Things aren't good because they're still working on regaining the customer's trust. And even though they haven't sold this floor since last May, and they actually wrote it all down this last quarter, they took a $22 million charge to write it all down because they're never going to sell it. It's a matter of convincing customers, hey, we're not selling that, and our other products are great, and please come back to the stores. So this is going to be a process that's going to take a little while. The analysts tried to figure out how long is this going to take in the question part of the conference call. And the company's not giving any guidance for 2016, and they tried to figure out, how's the quarter right now looking, and they wouldn't even go there because usually in March is when their sales for the spring start to pick up, so they want to wait and see what happens in March, so they wouldn't even say what happened in January, February, but March is more of a key month for them, so, they're hopeful things are going to be starting to turn around. They did recently just hire a very experienced home remodeling guy who was at Lowe's for many years, and he's going to be the head of their operations now. And that seems to be a hire that's going to maybe move them in a good direction. They're very excited about it. So, it's not like sales have completely just gone away. They have declined, and you can see in the estimates they're expected to take a loss for 2016 again, about 27 cents. But the analysts do have them profitable again by 2017. And with these kind of PR things that go on, it's a matter of can they regain the trust, and how soon will it be before the customers come back?
So from a PR standpoint, they're still in crisis mode. Dave, I've got the stock reports I've seen down 80% since this time last year. We're already in March of 2016. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been a pretty rocky ride. Tracy mentioned she did name this a bear of the day prior to that report on 60 Minutes, the first time that they decided to beat them up. But if you take a look at the stock price, there really hasn't been any recovery. I mean, there's a few spikes up that just got sold and slapped down. A decent, I guess the earnings report before this last earnings report offered a glimmer of hope, but the market just took that down. So we're bouncing, if you look at the chart, bouncing down along the bottom around like 11 bucks or so. And we're oversold on the commodity channel index, which is a short-term indicator I like to use. So it's bad, but if it's as bad as it has been, and it hasn't gotten much worse. So there's a little bit of a bid here, down $10, $11. So I'm saying there's a chance, Terry.
Well, before we get to that part of the story, Tracy, with the stock down 80% since this time last year, one has to ask, were the company fundamentals intact prior to the report?
Yeah. But like any, retailer, it's all a matter of what's going on with the consumer. So before the 60 Minutes report came out, they were having a little bit of issues with slowing sales. They blamed it on the weather. There was that bad polar vortex winter for that quarter, which may or may not have been true. So they had some sales decline, but not like what they're seeing now. I mean, fundamental-wise, when you have drops, double-digit declines from the year before, and it's going on for several quarters, then you're seeing real impact.
All right, so Dave, you still think there's a chance for recovery in the stock price?
Yep, I'm going to load the boat. I'm going to buy it.
Are we talking about a finite time period here, or are you just throwing it out there
I'm
for
gonna go
whatever
out,
it's worth?
I'm going to go out, not this Q, so what is this, March? So I'm going to go like September, right?
Of 2016?
Of 2016. So I'm going to be long and strong up until then. I want to get a couple of earnings reports, especially if they're not giving guidance. It's going to be a secret. So if it's a secret surprise to the upside, you could see a huge short covering rally. This thing could spike, 12, 13, 15 bucks in a heartbeat.
And if it does spike, you're looking for that 80% to get recovered totally, or is that going to be a stair step?
No,
kind of a
that stairway is never going to happen. There's holes in those stairs. You're not going to. This isn't a stairway to heaven. Don't queue up the Led Zeppelin. we're just going to take back a little bit, a few bucks. I think it'll be a decent trade for the next 6 months, though, because it can't. I mean, look at how bad it's gotten. It can't get any worse, right? It's one of those scenarios. Another 60 minutes report. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how this plays out. The so-called dark days of lumber liquidators, as depicted in Dave's stock chart there with the black background. And if you want more information on stocks, on stock picking strategies, commentary, get on over to our website, Zacks.com, if you're not there already watching this video, because you can link to a lot of that type of information right off the homepage. With Tracy and Dave, I'm Terry Ruffalo.